Welcome to my channel. I wanted to make a video about my everyday carry weapon, which is a Taurus and the Taurus G2C. And I know there's a lot of videos out there about this firearm, and Taurus in general gets some negative flack, and I think a lot of that's just because of their history. They are a fairly small arms manufacturer, and when they first came out making firearms, they just weren't the greatest. The quality wasn't really there, and they unsurprisingly received some negative feedback from that. So the G2C though is a gun I've carried for the last at least a couple of years now, and overall, just I guess from the very get go, it's been a fantastic experience for me. The gun has been super reliable and really as it's been just a fantastic firearm for me. So I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of what I've done to it, what my thoughts are on it, and give you my input. So first off, let me just clear the gun, make sure there's nothing in there. So nothing in the mag and nothing in the chamber. So we're clear. So overall, what do I think about the gun? So the biggest thing has been its reliability. The gun has been absolutely 100% reliable. Now, I haven't put 10,000 rounds through this gun. I've probably fired something like 1,500 rounds through it over the past couple of years. But, you know, for the most part, that's enough to tell you if it's going to be something you would rely on if you're carrying it with you. And so when I say it's been reliable, it has not had any fail to fires of any kind. It hasn't misfed, it hasn't stovepiped or jammed, or had a light primer strike where it doesn't fire. It's never done any of that. So from my perspective, I have many other firearms. This has just been a really good, reliable gun. It is, I would say, accurate within standard deviation. It's a very accurate gun, but it's not maybe as accurate as everything out there, but it's well within, I would say, the average. So from my perspective, you're having to defend yourself from 15, 20, 30 feet. You're not going to have a problem with that. And you could definitely connect with targets 100 feet away, 50 yards away. It's not going to be a problem. So from that perspective, it's also a very accurate gun, I would say. So a couple of things I did with this gun that I thought were useful, and the stock trigger it's not terrible, but I would say it's definitely better than a lot of stock firearms from Glock, which obviously they're known for their bad triggers from the factory. I know the newer ones are better than they used to be, but Glocks don't have the greatest trigger, and I'd say these are above that, but not as good as maybe like a Smith & Wesson or some of the SIGs, although, SIGs, depending on the model, they're not the best either. But overall, I'd say above average trigger when it comes to the trigger feel, the pull, the reset, definitely a decent trigger. But what I did, I actually installed an aftermarket trigger, a small company called Keep Tinkering, and I think they kind of go under the KT pseudonym. But it's a flat face trigger that gives you a little bit more reach. So I have larger hands, so for me, being able to have a little additional reach on an already kind of a small, compact firearm really helped a lot. So removing that curve from the trigger face actually helped when it comes to my comfort level. So highly recommend. Very inexpensive trigger, but very smooth. Has an excellent take up and a very distinct reset. Really nice trigger for the money. Honestly, it's hard to go wrong with it. So that's one of the things I did for this firearm. The other thing I did was I did invest in a couple of additional types of magazines. So the stock magazine for this gun, depending on the state you live in, it's a 12-round mag, and it's fairly compact and does the job. It's a steel mag. I think it looks like it's made in Italy. Let me see. No, these are actually made in Brazil. These are made where the gun's made. So, but no problem with the magazines. Honestly, they've been fantastic. No perceived issues with keeping them loaded for long periods of time. If you have one where you're using it as a home defense gun, like I do with this one, no issues there so far with when it comes to feeding or how they function. And seems like the construction is good. The plastics seem good. No problems there. So one of them, though, one of the mags I did, I bought it's basically an extended lip for the bottom. So when you have your hand on the gun, it gives you just a little extra room at the bottom of the mag. And this was very, very inexpensive. I think it was about $10 to add these on. So as you can see, it doesn't add any extra rounds or capacity, but it just gives you a little extra grip. So definitely at the range, it's really nice to have that. If you're carrying it, it makes it a little bit longer, so maybe it's not as great for everyday carry, but definitely is amazing for the comfort level. And this one I bought, really, I would say the material is fairly close to the factory finish too. Not perfect, but overall good enough. So that's that mag. And then the other one is the actual additional magazines extended mag sold by Taurus itself. So this extended magazine actually works on the G2C and the G3C. So both of those firearms use the same mag design. So this is actually for a G3C, which is pretty close to the G2C. A few minor changes they made, but this actually holds 17 rounds. So it is an extended magazine in addition to the grip length. You'll actually see here, overall, gives you quite a difference in the actual grip length. So if you have large hands like I do, it just gives you a lot of extra purchase on that, and it's got the actual stipling on it where it gives a little extra traction there. So, but those have been great too. So I use this when I go to the range and occasionally when I carry. But usually, when I carry, I figure if 12 rounds is not going to take care of it, 17 rounds probably won't make a difference. But in any case, this is the third type of magazine that I have for the gun. So let me take it apart here, and let me go ahead and click that, and it's fairly easy to take it apart. You pull the trigger and you pull the slide back a little bit, a couple of front pins, and the slide comes off here. So yeah, overall, the materials in the gun have held up really well. I like the fact that the recoil spring itself is all steel, so it's not made of plastic with springs. It's actually, the whole thing is made of steel, which I appreciate. And the materials inside the slide, since it's a little dry right now, I usually have a little more lube on this, but it's held up really well. No major issues or problems when it comes to the slide material. And I can take that apart and show you that. So there's my recoil spring, and there's my barrel. You can actually get aftermarket barrels from Taurus, different finishes and stuff. If you like something that's in gold or iridescent or black or whatever the case is, but they actually have other barrels available. So that's pretty cool. And not much to see here, but just it's a hefty slide, but it's been very, very good. And even with using using this in my holster, which is a Kydex holster, it's held up finish-wise. So it's been pretty good. I've been pretty happy with that. So no issues with the materials. The barrel on this one here, it's a little dirty right now, but it has really nice feed ramps, just very highly polished. And I know that may not make the biggest difference, but to me, though, that is just a little extra step, something that is going to allow it to perform better. And but yeah, the feed ramps there is really smooth, really well polished, even when it was brand new, and it still has a great finish to this day. So it cleans up really, really well, and I think for a factory barrel for a gun that is easily under $200, brand new, easily, it's just been really, I think quality is above what you're paying for. Very, very good. Now, the lower itself here, so slide where the slide actually contacts is all steel. Everything's steel here, front and back, and there's definitely a little bit of wear here, but honestly, for about 1,500 rounds, no major concerns there. The material's starting to wear a little bit. You see some of the natural steel colors coming through, but no problems there. And everything that matters is made of steel, and it functions very, very well. So you can actually get a version of this without the factory safety as well. Probably a little bit better gun for an EDC, but overall, that trigger was pretty easy to install. I guess going back to that, trigger wasn't too bad to install. And it does get rid of the trigger safety, which is nice as well. So I prefer just the internal safety is fine, the one that's built in. So these guns have two safeties, so to speak. They have an internal drop safety, and then they have a trigger safety. So the aftermarket trigger removes the trigger safety, and just makes that smoother and more precise. So overall, a great gun. Highly recommend it. Very, very inexpensive. I've seen these for $150. So really recommend it, and I think it's something that you should consider if you're looking for a budget everyday carry gun.